Welcome back to the channel, guys. So today we are doing our weekend series where we'll analyze the next possible moves for the currencies we are trading. So this is a video about JPY pairs. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please subscribe to our channel and hit the thumbs up if you find this information useful. So last week we analyzed the trends and we had a very good intuition about our euro JPY, and it worked out really properly because last week started on the 24th, which is right here. This was the beginning of last week. Right there was the beginning of last week, and if you look into our video about the next possible moves for JPY pairs, that right there was our analysis of euro JPY to create a move to the downside. And really this week was purely amazing because the week started on from Monday till Friday. We had a move from 157.5 till 152.5. So that's a very good 500 pips in 1 week. So guys, if you always find this information useful, subscribe to the channel and keep following. So let's look at this weekend analysis. We are going to start with a 4-hour in euro JPY, and as you can see, this all bullish move to the upside, which euro is in right. It had a pause between 157 and 158, and we saw a distribution of price and a break of that range to the downside, and it created a move, broken the previous support, went back and rejected in the same level, which was our analysis for last week, the last weekend. We were expecting that big move to the downside, and we really got that very big move to the downside. So right now we are seeing a pullback again to the upside, and we have some analysis we are looking at right now. So this small upward trend was broken, and this becomes the break of this trend line becomes a resistance point, and it worked properly right here on our 27th of July. So this was rejected, this zone exactly at 156 to 156.5 was our resistance. The price rejected right there exactly, and it created a big move to the downside. This right here was the Japanese CPI news data that came out. It came out early in the morning. I think it was 2:30 a.m. on our 27th, and it created this impulse move to the downside in all JPY pairs, as we'll be seeing. This is a 4-hour chart now, where we saw a support right there. That was created, a support at 152.5 or 152. Between there we saw a support created, and a very strong rejection of that exact zone, and this created a move to a clear entry to the upside. So it was clearly that here we are going for the buy, and it created a very good entry and a good return in that setup. So right now we are looking at a resistance right here at 100, between 156 to 56.5. We are looking at a resistance right there, and we are hoping for this price. As soon as we get a rejection in this area, we'll go for the bearish positions. As soon as we see a break to the upside, we'll just know. We are waiting to see how the market reacts to this sell zone right there. So we have two sell zones, 156 to 156.5, and then we have 157 to 158. So if we get a rejection here, we'll go for the sell. If we get a rejection here, we'll go for the buy. But if it breaks and retests on the upside, we'll go for the buys right there. So let's move on to here in the 1-hour chart. You can see very clearly that if we get a rejection here, we'll go for the sell. If it breaks to the upside, we'll go for the buy. But let's see what comes next week. So let's look into AUD JPY. We'll start with the 4-hour chart, and it will clearly show you that there is some patterns that have been creating in AUD JPY. So like here at the end of this upward move, there was a distribution of price that created a falling wedge and a break to the upside that created a a simple setup for a buy. It was something like 50 pips to the upside, and it rejected exactly on this sell zone right there, supply zone right there, and this trend line was our setup to see how we enter the sell, because the upward trend was clearly making a pause right there. So it created a setup for a sell, which was very, very good right there. After this upward trend, we had this break that created a very, very good downward trend. This trend ran something like let's see, 200 pips from 96 to 94. So this was a very good setup right here, and it broke this trend was broken right here on the 13th, and it created a resistance zone right here, and here was a very good indicator that we are going to have some entry on the buy side. So a simple trend line right there would show you that this was broken and the resistance created here, and this was our entry on the buy side. It was very small, created a move at least something like 50 pips. So all these are intraday entries that are very small, but they are still working. So it, in the long run, it created a rising wedge that was broken, retested, and this was a very good entry that created huge returns, very good 200 pips in one day. So those were the setups in the previous days, but now we are looking at a resistance right here, that if this resistance is holding and the price rejects this zone, we'll be looking for a move to the downside. So our entry will be somewhere around 93.41, or if it breaks to the upside, we'll wait for a retest to see if we get a big move, a push to the upside to go for the buy. So with AUD JPY and Euro JPY, we are still at a conflict of two interests, buy and sell. So this time we don't have a clear decision on buy or sell, but we'll wait for a rejection or a break and retest to the upside. So simple. Let's look at GBP JPY. Same thing. On the last days of the week, we had a very on Thursday and Friday. Thursday we had that CPI, the Japanese CPI, JPY CPI, that created that big push to the downside. There was no clear entry on GBP JPY, so there was no opportunity to get a good trade on GBP JPY. The break it came when the setup was not there for sell or buy. It was just a range that just broke and went, because it's different from AUD JPY. There was a break and retest before the big impulse move to the downside. There was a break and retest of this rising wedge. But as you see in GBP JPY, this range was just broken with the news, and there was no chance of entry on GBP JPY, so this was a loss. And move to the upside, there was some opportunities to enter the trade, because it created a double bottom right there, and then it came, swept the liquidity, came back, retested, and this was some indicator that you might get a good entry setup. And as you can see, there was a good setup right there for a good 200 pips on our GBP JPY. You know, GBP JPY moves a lot of pips, so you have to be careful with that. It's the same as gold almost. So back to the 1 hour chart. On GBP JPY, we are still conflicted also. We have a resistance right there and a supply right there, so it's either this resistance or this. So we'll see from the following week which we get, and we'll react from there. We don't want to just predict, we want to see a reaction after the market indicates a move or an entry setup. So with CAD JPY, we already, as you see CAD JPY, there was a zone right here that was created after the whole downward trend. There was a distribution and a move to the upside that created some resistance at 107.6. It was retested and it created a good entry setup for a sell position, a sell entry, and then this sell entry did a good 100 pips on the downward side, and then it went back into a range, then a move to the upside. But right now where we are, the market structure has a sell zone right there, a sell zone that came in the JPY CPI data. And then this sell zone, we're seeing a move back into that sell zone, and before the market closed on Friday, we saw a candle that was trying to form as a rejection on that trend line. So we'll wait to see how price reacts in this zone and see if we go for the sell position, or we'll see a break to the upside. So we are all still just waiting. So CAD JPY and USD JPY almost in the same market structure, but on USD JPY is a different story. On the 4-hour chart, we are seeing a very good move to the downside in the previous trend, a break to the upward and a retest back into this zone, and now we are seeing a double bottoms trying to form. So this is a very huge support right here, and for USD JPY it's very clear that we are going into a continuation of the upward trend, because it's very visible if you go into the this is the 1-day chart, a break and retest of this, and now we are looking at a very big move to the upside. So we are looking at a move until up to at least 144.5 on USD JPY. So our analysis on USD JPY is long buy position to the upside. So that's the next possible moves for JPY pairs. Thanks for watching, and hit the subscribe button, share the video with all your trader friends. Thanks guys.